Welcome to Underrated 3.0. And on this episode we're breaking down college. And since we've given up on our own teams, we're going to only talk about the best of the best. And so I think we're going to start off with the top four, and then we're going to go straight into the Heisman discussion.
So the top four rankings right now, we have Alabama, of course, at number one, LSU at number two. At number three, we have Ohio State. Number four, we have Clemson. And then 5 and 6 is Oklahoma and Penn State. There's been a bunch of controversy over who should be in, who should be out. And also, we have them two, who's also going to be part of this. So if you want to go ahead, who do you think that should be in?
All right, so I'd keep Bama and LSU at at 1 and 2. I would probably still keep Ohio State at 3, maybe moving up to 4. But then I would definitely put Oklahoma in for Clemson. I just think Oklahoma is so good offensively, and yeah, their defense has struggled, but when you have an offense like that, it's really hard to win against them.
I have to agree with him. I would definitely switch out Oklahoma for Clemson. I think Oklahoma's doing more than Clemson is this season so far.
And I feel the same exact way that Oklahoma and Clemson, but also very interesting is Penn State at number 6. They've beaten Iowa and Michigan, which is two very good ball clubs. And then Penn State and Ohio State had the chance of meeting each other, and that could be a very good game to determine who will be in and who will be out.
I think it definitely will.
Okay. Bama at 1, LSU at 2. Ohio State, I feel like, doesn't have very many good wins. I put Oklahoma in at 3. I put Penn State in over Clemson at 4.
Who'd you put at 5 and 6?
Interesting.
5 and 6. Ohio State 5, Clemson 6.
Very interesting.
That's very interesting.
Oklahoma is just their quarterback has done so much. Jalen Hurts, he is basically putting that team on his shoulders and walking them into the college football playoffs.
And the thing is, though, he already has that experience. He's played in probably the best football conference. He's been in 2 college football playoff championships. He's won one of them. The other one, of course, he got subbed out, but he technically still won. He's had that experience, so he could also encounter that. But so we also have some very interesting, with the only being so far, and a lot of the teams in the top 6 are in the same conference except for Clemson. They're the only one out of the ACC. But a lot of them have a lot of rivals that are 1-loss or 2-loss contenders, like Wisconsin or Florida. And then, and also there's a chance for even like a 2-loss contender like Texas,
Georgia.
Like Texas has had just the worst of luck. They've lost 2 games, one to LSU by 7 and Oklahoma by 7. I mean, they're a very good team. They just had a hard schedule.
Because you could argue that LSU and Oklahoma are 2 of the best teams.
Exactly.
In football.
The only reason Clemson's still in the college football playoffs is because they won the championship last year.
Yeah.
That's the only reason they're keeping it in there.
They're faltering pretty bad, I think.
Yeah.
But I think it'll get more interesting, especially as like the ACC. It's not very. It's way more dull.
That's why I think Clemson won't make it. Because even if they beat someone in the ACC championship, who's it gonna be? Like Virginia? Like they're not gonna play anyone good.
Exactly.
Yeah, that's true.
They might lose to North Carolina.
Yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
yes, they still have one of the best quarterbacks in the nation, but this year hasn't been one of his best years at all.
I don't know.
So now moving on, I think we should move to the Heisman. This is very intriguing.
Definitely. This is very controversial as well.
We have 3 front runners. We have excluded Tua just for the fact that he is injured and he might not come back for some time. So we have narrowed down to 3. Joe Burrow of LSU, Jalen Hurts of Oklahoma, and Justin Fields of Ohio State. And you could also technically throw in Jonathan Taylor, running back from Wisconsin, just having an absolute great year as well.
That's true. I think I'm gonna have to go with Jalen Hurts on this one because, as he said earlier, is he's putting Oklahoma onto his shoulders and walking him into the playoffs. I think he's an excellent player, and I think he's doing a lot for Oklahoma. I think he is. If any of them should win the Heisman,
I like Jalen Hurts, but I think Joe Burrow has this because of his wins that he has taken LSU through. It would be Jalen Hurts could do the same thing that Joe Burrow has done, but he hasn't had the opportunity to do it. So Joe Burrow is probably my Heisman pick, 2,400 yards to Jalen Hurts' 2,000 yards. 9 more touchdowns. They both have 1 interception. And he has a higher completion percentage at 79, where Jalen Hurts is only 74.
I mean, their self really high, but also the
Yes.
thing about Jalen Hurts, though, it makes him more special. He's very gifted as a runner as well. He's a very good passer and runner.
Mhm.
And honestly, I think it's more between Joe Burrow and Jalen Hurts. Is Justin Fields. I mean, don't get me wrong, he's really, really good and deserves every credit. But the type of caliber teams he'll probably be playing this year doesn't touch what LSU and Ohio.
They have no quality wins.
I feel like, LSU, Oklahoma are just performing on another level. Ohio State's just Ohio State.
And you can honestly look at a common opponent for Joe Burrow and Jalen Hurts. They both played Texas, both won. They both had phenomenal games. Jalen Hurts will go through more tests like Baylor and Ohio State and possibly another Texas matchup. And then Joe Burrow, of course, he's in the SEC. He has to play Bama. And there's so many people that he could play in the SEC championship if he makes it that far. It's just
true.
It's gonna be close. It'll be a hard one. Justin Fields probably needs a lot more stats just to even be
Mhm.
in top 3.
Yeah, I'm gonna go with Jalen Hurts too. I just think he's so much better. Well, not so much. I've seen Joe Burrow play. I've seen Jalen Hurts play, and when I watch Jalen Hurts, it just feels like every pass he throws is always gonna be complete. It feels like his percentage is always 100% every game, and the ability he has to run is amazing too, because they do a lot of play action, and it gets the defense to jump so many times. He's so good at
If
running.
Jalen Hurts throws 100% completion every game, then doesn't Joe Burrow throw 105% completion every game now?
I mean, I don't know.
I think also another big bias is Jalen Hurts at Alabama. Don't get me wrong, he was still a really good quarterback. I mean, he led them. His passing has definitely gotten a lot better. Even it was so evident last year whenever he came in against Georgia. I mean, we remember him throwing on the dot, throwing dimes, and just he looked just like Tua did whenever Tua came in for him. And
Right. I feel like Jalen Hurts is performing. Joe Burrow and Jalen Hurts are near the same level. I just feel like Jalen Hurts can go above and beyond because of the rushing, the running, because that's a big part of football now, of quarterbacks. If you look at the league and what players are going there, like Kyler Murray, Lamar Jackson.
even
It's a
Patty
lot of-
Mahomes.
That's true. It's a lot of dual threat. I feel like if he brings in that dual threat, it makes up for the lack of lower stats than Joe Burrow. I think the running makes up for it.
I mean, also have a very big sleeper pick, Sam Ehlinger from Texas. The only reason why he is not very considered is because he has 2 losses against, of course, LSU and Oklahoma, only by 7. But if you look at his stats and you watch him play, he is a gifted run. He's like Jalen Hurts. He can pass, he can run. It's just that those losses are really gonna go against him really bad.
It's true. Which honestly they shouldn't, because as you said earlier, 2 really good teams. They had a really hard schedule.
Yeah, they have possibly one of the toughest schedules in
Because
America.
two of those losses, those teams are in the top 5.
And also, I think we'll also discredits Tua, even though we're not really including him as his injury. But we'll also really discredits him. He's playing cupcake teams. Their schedule is nowhere near Ohio State, Oklahoma, and LSU's.
That's very true. But then again, that's like Alabama every year. So
Yeah.
I mean, I think it's gonna be a pretty interesting year.
Mhm.
I think we have a lot to choose from in the Heisman discussion. I feel like those rankings, although people we want to change around the top 5, but I feel like those 5 are locks overall. And it's going to be a pretty good year for college football. I mean, not for our teams, of course, but what can you do?
You guys are doing okay. I mean, I'm gonna say
I mean, hey, they're doing all right, but I mean,
Much better
it's
they
than
not-
definitely perform and function like an offense that seems to know what it's doing.
Oh,
They
right.
have the people they need. Still, something.
But still, we're not near the level of the teams that play with them. But I think it's gonna be a pretty good year. This has been Underrated 3.0, talking about college football.